And also
Hi.
handle steak.
Yes, good transition. Lucy Greer is here with Greer's Markets, and we've been working on, tell us a little bit about your theme here so far.
Okay, so we're in our second week of
Yes.
talking about our 7 meats of summer. Last
meats of
week
summer.
we talked all about T-bone steaks, and today we're talking about New York strips, which, if of course everybody knows and remembers, this is the part of the T-bone that we talked about last
Right.
week. So the T-bone had the filet on one side and the strip on the other side, and so this week we have on sale our New York strips. And so I brought in some really pretty steaks today. And I've been talking about our remodel down at our DIP store in Fowl River. Oopsies. And so I got these when I was there yesterday. They had them all ready because, of course, the ad starts today. Our ads run Wednesday through Tuesday. So if you're planning on what you're going to grill out this weekend, or just in general during the week, then you could give these steaks a try. They're really good. One good thing that I like about strips is that they are a little bit leaner. If you're looking for an option that is a little bit leaner. And of course it is just a really good size, so you can get them any thickness that you'd like. We talked last week about all of our departments, our meat departments have butchers back there, several of them. So if you ever want anything specially cut that you don't see in the case, then they are more than happy to do that. So if you want one of these babies 2 inches thick, then all you have to do is go back there and ask them to cut it, and they'll be happy to. So these are about an inch or so, and I thought that it would be fun to do an herb salt to go on these.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by this. I haven't done this before. Tell me about this green herb salt.
Okay, so of course it's really pretty. My husband was like, "Is that pesto?" I'm like, "No, it looks just like it and it smells like it because we're using herbs and garlic."
Okay.
But it is definitely just an idea that you could flavor up any way that you'd like with whatever herbs you like. So we're going to use a food processor today to do it, and the seasonings or the herbs that I'm going to use today are parsley. And that's really just so it'll give it that really bright green color. And I'm gonna use garlic today. And then I love fresh thyme, and I'm gonna use that. Of course, you could use rosemary. A lot of people love rosemary on steaks. And then I'm gonna use some pepper. And then the base of it, the salt, is of course kosher salt, which we talked a little bit about kosher salt last week. That's all I use to cook with. It just has a better flavor than iodized salt.
Right.
And it's really easier to cook with. It's easier to season with. It's coarse. And so we're gonna kind of whiz all that up in the food processor. And the good thing about this is once you make it, of course you can use it on anything. And you just store it in an airtight container, and then you can use it for vegetables or fish or chicken or whatever you want to use it for. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this thing always gives me fits.
So do you put the salt on both before and while grilling?
Whatever you want to do, but what I do is put it on before. So I have this steak that already has some of our salt on it, because we talked last week, whenever you are going to grill steaks or really any chicken or pork, you want to let it come to sit on the counter for about 30 minutes. You just don't want to put a super cold piece of meat out of the refrigerator onto the grill, because it's just going to seize up when it goes cold to hot that quick. So what I do is I sprinkled this steak with some of our herb salt, let it rest on the counter for 30 minutes, and then afterwards I just sprinkled some on top just because it's so pretty. So I have 2 garlic cloves in here, and I'm going to do the garlic and the parsley in here first and just get that chopped up, so that garlic and the parsley, because there's so much of it, have a chance to chop up, and then we'll add the rest of our stuff.
Tell you what, we'll let you work on that in just a little bit. We'll come back with more with steps 2 and 3 in the process with Lucy. Can't wait to try this out. Never had it before, like I said. Chelsea?
We are back in the kitchen with our friend Lucy from Greer's, and we're working on these steaks. I'm really excited about it, but I'm really excited about the salt that we're making for it.
Yes, we have got started on our New York strip steaks. We're making the green herb salt that you're talking about, and in the food processor, I did get started on it. I put 2 cloves of garlic in there with 1 whole bunch of fresh parsley, and I just pulse that. On your food processor, there's low, high, pulse, and so you just kind of pulse it. You don't want to just turn it on and walk away, because you don't want it to liquefy.
Right.
You just want it to chop up. And I was telling Joe that you could flavor this salt with anything.
Right.
But I'm just using parsley, garlic. This is fresh thyme. Of course, you just get it right out of the produce department. And if you haven't worked with it before, it's really simple to get the leaves off.
All you got to do is just.
All you got to do, yeah, is just hold it at the top and just pull them off like this. It's one of my favorite herbs. And then we are going to also, we have some pepper in here. It's about a tablespoon of pepper because we're going to use a whole cup of salt. Now, of course, you're not going to use that all just on these steaks, but when you're making it, then just go ahead and get a whole batch of it, and then you'll have it. So if you haven't used kosher salt before, it's the only salt that I like to use unless I'm going to garnish with, sea salt or something like that. But just look for it, right there on the grocery aisle with all the other salts, and it'll take a little bit to get used to using it versus iodized salt, but it's just so much better for cooking. So I'm going to add in the salt and the pepper and the thyme.
And you can't go wrong with any of those ingredients that you got going on.
I know. So actually, I saw the pan is smoking, so I'm going to go ahead and add our steak in there before we get that mixed up.
Okay.
So of course, everybody likes to cook their steaks whichever way. We're inside today, so I just have the grill pan in here. And if you want to, get those nice crosshatch grill marks, the way to do that is you put your steak on this way,
and then flip
it the complete opposite direction. So it's actually like you're going to make an X with it. So we're going to put, and then we talked about last week, when you put whatever meat you're cooking down in the pan, you want to put the pretty part down first. So if it's like the chicken breast, and you want to put, whichever side looks better down first, because that's the side you're going to end up with on the plate. So we are going to start like this.
With the pretty side.
Down.
Okay.
And then when it's time to, when it kind of gives, we talked about last week, you don't want to, force it.
Right.
But then we're going to rotate it like that on the same side, and it should give us pretty grill marks.
I am so excited. This little pan is really neat. We have it in our Studio 10 kitchen, but this is really cool, and you can already see you already added some of your salt beforehand. Now, should we add the salt like before and after, or do you have a preference?
So we salted with our herb salt, or whatever seasoning you're going to use on both sides of our steaks, and let it sit out on the counter for 30 minutes. I mentioned that you don't want to take meat directly out of the fridge and pop it on the grill, because going from cold to hot is going to
extremes.
Extremes are going to make it kind of seize up and not be as tender as you want it to be. So I salted it before, and now it's in the pan, and then it's so pretty that I'm going to do like a little bit of salt afterwards.
It is so pretty.
And so you could use whatever grilling technique you wanted. And I told everybody that I got these beautiful steaks down at our store in Fowl River. So I was there yesterday because we're working and we're almost finished with our store, but we're having our grand reopening on Friday.
Wow, that's coming up.
So if you do not have plans on Friday morning at 10 o'clock, then please come out and see us down there. We have a new Ace Hardware that we opened a few months ago, and the whole interior of the store has been redone. We have a ton of new equipment, a new salad bar, which is awesome, and so it's going to be a really fun time on Friday morning at 10 o'clock.
Friday morning at 10 a.m. right after Studio 10.
Yes, and I have to give a shout out too.
Yes, go ahead.
Because my grandparents live down on the bay, and just right down the street from that store. So we always say it's Nene and Pop's store,
so
and they are in their 90s. Pop is actually in the hospital, and my dad said he's watching. So
hey, Pop.
We are hoping that he's going to get out soon, but he's doing really well and got a good report today. So I wish they were at the Ace grand opening.
Yes.
So we're gonna miss them on Friday, but they are amazing. So I love y'all.
Oh, so sweet, and we hope that you're doing better and praying that you can get well soon.
Thank you.
Now, coming back with Joe, what will you be doing next with our steaks that we got today?
So we are going to get the rest of this salt mixed up, and I'll show you how it comes out, and then we'll flip our steaks and we'll be ready to eat.
Alrighty, guys, I know you're really excited about that.
All right, doing something we've never done before on the show, steaks with the green herb salt.
Yes, we are all finished with it. We actually cooked one of our steaks. We're talking all about strip steaks today because they're on sale all week at Greer's, less than $6 a pound, which we have. This is a Black Angus Select piece of steak, and that's what we sell at our stores, and it's USDA inspected. It's an amazing quality of meat because you know, kind of the ranges of meat are prime, choice, and select. And one of the big reasons that we sell select is because it's a little bit leaner all around, but it still has amazing flavor.
Right.
So it's a little bit healthier for you and a better value to our customers. So when you go shopping in our stores, look for, when you're shopping in the beef section, all of our Black Angus Select is in black trays, and they have this sticker on them. We also have another line of beef that's USDA inspected. It's just you know, not as high of quality as this. So there's always something for everybody at Greer's, no matter what your price point, but you know you're always getting the absolute best value. Oh, and I wanted to show everybody real quick a little trick that you and I were talking about before we pour out our herb salt. So you see a lot of people, you know, when you're grilling and they're poking it and trying to figure out if it's done. And if you don't have a thermometer,
maybe we can get Mick here to get a shot of your hands while
Mick,
you're about
I'm going
to
to do something with my hands. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. So a little trick is just kind of loosen up your palm, and when you touch right here, see how squishy it is?
Yeah.
That is a raw piece of meat.
Okay.
So when you put your index finger to your thumb and you push, that's rare. See how it is squishy still? And then, you know, your middle finger, that'd be medium rare. And you don't tense up, just, you know, kind of be loose. And then as you go up, that's, you know, medium well. And then with your pinky is well done. So you can kind of, you know, get a gauge. And of course, yeah, most people know if it's really squishy, it's obviously not cooked yet. But when you're trying to get that medium, you know, that middle finger is about where you want to be. So you can kind of use that trick when you're cooking your steaks. And then always, we talked about last week, you want to let your meat, really whatever it is, but especially steak, rest when you bring it off the heat, just for about 10 minutes before you cut it. So we finished our salt, and that was our garlic and our parsley and our fresh thyme, kosher salt and black pepper, and we put it all in the food processor. And at this point, you could put it out on a cookie sheet or, you know, a big plate, and we're just going to leave it on the counter for about 4 hours or so, and then you can store it in an airtight container. And you can't see, but Joe can see that it's a little wet when it comes out because we have fresh herbs and garlic in there. And then it'll kind of dry out a little bit, and it'll be more the consistency of the salt that you're used to.
And one of the things I want to point out from me just trying it for the first time is it really does have a really nice saltiness to it, because it's not just the salt, it's infused with that garlic and the herbs too. So all of that comes together. Doesn't mean that it's super ridiculously salty. It just means that all these flavors are coming together to make it taste that way, which is perfect to put on top of steak. Yeah,
perfect. And you could, you know, use this salt on anything and just keep it in an airtight container, and it'll keep, you know, for a while. So just a couple of tips when you're grilling. You know, let your meat rest on the counter for 30 minutes. Let it rest 10 minutes after it comes off the heat. And, you know, you always want to start with a great piece of meat. So you can, of course, get that at Greer's. So we'd love to cut some New York strips for y'all this week.
All right, so before we go here this morning, one more time, big news about one of your stores.
Oh yeah, we of course have freshly remodeled our store in Fowl River on Dauphin Island Parkway on the way to the island. So we're having our ribbon cutting on Friday at 10 a.m. So come out and see us. And everybody has really loved the improvements to the store, and we're really excited about it. That's a super cool community down there. You know, the people that live there, and then we get tons of snowbirds going down to the island, and people that come every year to vacation on Dauphin Island. So it's a really unique store, and we love it down there. So come shop with us.
Friday at 10 o'clock, right after Studio 10. You can go on and check it out. And thank you for doing this. What a great idea. Guys, you want to try this at home. It is so phenomenal. Chelsea?